you feel like you struggle with early extension, but often with early extension, if we focus away from what's actually going on, so the early extension's happening, okay? Instead of focusing on the early extension, let's focus on something else that can stop it, okay? What is the root cause making you early extend? First things first is your setup. Next thing is how the shaft comes down steep. Makes it necessary for you to early extend. So it doesn't matter how often you kind of rehearse trying to do this and get down and around and doing all that stuff too. It really isn't going to matter unless you fix the setup and you also fix this shaft pitch during the downswing, right? So first things first with the setup. Okay, stance is too narrow. Okay, feet are too square. What that does when your feet are narrower, it gets you taller away from the ground. Okay, so if we go really narrow, we can get tall. If we go really wide, we get closer to the ground, right? Because you're narrow, because your feet are turned inwards, you're restricting how you can move through ankle, knee, pelvis, okay, hip. With that, you can't move the knees. Well, you can move the knees, sorry, it's not that you can't move them, but you're not allowing them space to actually move through the golf swing here, right? With that, with the feet turned inwards, that also restricts that movement. So the main thing that we need to do, and what I want you to do, is firstly get inside of the heel, kind of level with the base to the outside of the hip, inside of the heel, base outside of the hip. And from there, then what I want you to do is, with the feet square, turn it out by about 1.25 inches that way and about 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch that way. A little bit more with the left side so that we can allow ourselves to open up on the way through, not as much on the right side so we don't get kind of jammed and stuck on the way down. So a little bit more with the left than you have with the right, about half a ball, 3/4 of the ball with the left foot, about 1/4 to half a ball with the right foot, let's say. Okay, for you that will really create a solid baseline to allow you to rotate and allow those knees to move. As soon as you understand how the knees move, you'll allow the pelvis to move. But with that stance that was really narrow from down the line, from face on, that made you have to sit quite heavily to get into your posture, right? When you're sitting quite heavily to get into that posture there, you're really going to struggle straight away, even with that narrow stance like we discussed, to rotate, unless the only way you can complete swing here is by standing up out of posture if you want to let the knees change. So once you've gone a bit wider and you've got the foot flare, we're going to stand up straight, we're going to feel like we round from the upper spine, okay, and we're then going to gently flex the knees. See how now my butt, like I said to you, is about a club head's width behind my heel, right? It never goes further back than that for you, because what you can do is when you're in that position there, you're adopting standing posture more appropriately, and you'll be allowed to then maintain those tilts and rotate through it. But also it gets your armpits, your knees and your balls of your feet lined up a little bit more, which will then allow you to maintain again those balance points throughout the golf swing, which then allows you to maintain balance and not early extend or kind of stay down in posture to find those balance points. So quick way to do it: put the club behind your heel, the club head, okay? That's how far you should be away from a wall, or if you just stand it upright, that's fine. From there, rounding from the upper spine, okay? Then gently flexing the knees. That gets us exactly where you need to be with those balance points, and it also ensures my butt is not sat too far back and my knees are in the appropriate flex there. Once you change that, obviously you're going to see, honestly, you're going to see a massively different look to your golf swing, because what it'll allow you to do from there is it will allow you to extend the pelvis upwards, get a longer golf swing. So we're in new setup. Before, your pelvis kind of sat because you were narrow. Now you can understand how to create full turn and lengthen out that golf swing. At the moment it stops here, but it stops here because the pelvis is here. And then from there, all you're trying to do on the way down is create space into the golf ball, which is causing those toe strikes as well as those kind of early extension moves that you're seeing as your breakdown from the down the line position. Every one of us golfers, we try and crave time and space. And so when you're here, okay, and really narrow, and you're here, you're not going to stay down, because if you stay down, you're going to dump the club into the ground. So you jump up to try and get some time, get some space here at impact. But obviously then that's the cause of the early extension. But again, set up, shaft pitch, big thing to do with it. So set up, big thing, right? From there, what I want you to learn is the rotation of the knees and the pelvis. again, putting an alignment stick through your belt loops and feeling like you're trying to get that to point at the ball, okay, will allow you to learn how to load that pelvis. Holding a ball here and turning, going to allow you to understand movement, but also just standing, right, and just feeling like the pelvis, right leg lengthens, left knee moves inwards as that right leg lengthens. It doesn't lock out, it just lengthens, and as it lengthens and that whole side lengthens up and extends, you'll be in a much more appropriate position here to allow you to squat and get down into the ground, should we say, because you unweight and you get out of the ground, then you can get back into the ground, and the ground will push you back, and you have so much more time and space in that